Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am your Destiny Dad and welcome back to a very late Friday with Zur. We are here with our favorite Snakeface boy to see what he has brought us this week. I will say I took a little bit of a cheat because I was late and did a quick review of his inventory in Dim before I started recording, but that being said, let's get into it. This week he brings us the Cold Heart Catalyst, which only gives you some stat bumps, but Cold Heart kind of cooks. A lot of people are saying it's only good right now because of the artifact mods, but frankly it has been one of the few trace rifles that has remained in the spotlight pretty consistently. Maybe not in top tier endgame or in Grandmaster kind of content, but in general gameplay, it always cooks, especially on Warlocks. We also have the Borealis Catalyst. This one is another one that I believe only gives stat bumps. That being said, if you're a fan of Borealis, this is going to be a good catalyst to have. And once again, I'm of the mindset if it's something that you can collect and have, and you don't have it, always try and pick it up. In order of priority, I would put Cold Heart above Borealis because there's more uses for Cold Heart than Borealis, but they're both good catalysts to have, no reason not to have them. Might as well pick them up if you can, but they are both just stat bumps. For your Hunter Exotic, we have a base 67 Graviton Forfeit, 21 Mobility, 14 Intellect, Recov, and Discipline at 12, falling behind. Actually pretty banger. I think that, I already have one that's a little bit better than this in terms of the spikes, but if you do not have one that is like this, go for it. It's really good. Right now, you currently do kind of want more resilience in PvE than you want Recov and other stats, but I always try and have my spikes be in the more expensive stat. So, barring mobility on Hunter, if I'm running something on my Hunter and I can get a spike in Intellect and then use my stat mods to go into resilience, if I was trying to do triple 100 with mobility, resilience, mobility, discipline, and intellect, I would want all of my spikes to be in intellect because intellect mods cost 4, whereas discipline and mobility cost 3. So it's a cheaper mod, leaving you more room exposed on your armor. That is the mindset that I kind of take going into this. So seeing this have the biggest spike be in intellect, barring, your main stat spike, and then one of the second biggest spikes being in Recov, that immediately alleviates a couple of Recov and Intellect mods from being in my armor. So, it's a little hot tip for you gamer guys and gals out there. The Titan, we have the AC/DC feedback fences. These are kind of a menace in PvP. I believe that there's some plays for them. There were plays for them in PvE, and then I think they reworked them, and I don't think they work as well now. There was like a infinite melee spam on Strand Titan and Stasis Titan that utilized these, and I think they reworked them, and I think they're better after the rework, but they're no longer as useful. That being said, they are a 65 base stat, 22 resilience, 23 discipline. Very, very good. That being said, it's kind of a melee based exotic, so I personally would prefer a spike in strength over discipline, but maybe you're trying to go for a resilience, grenade, and melee build, that might work for you. Last exotic, we have the Sanguine Alchemy. Did this thing ever get an ornament? It did not. It almost looks cool, but not quite. That being said, it is a 68 base with high discipline, decent recovery, and decent resilience. So it's got a little bit of strength, a little bit more mobility than you want, but overall, it's not too bad. And it's actually a decent exotic, one that doesn't see too much use, but is kind of slept on in my opinion. This week we have exotic ciphers. I know a lot of people get upset when they have exotic ciphers instead of class items. I personally have most, if not all, of the class items I want, but I always seem to run out of ciphers. So I personally will be okay to pick up probably a few of these this week. For our strange offers, we got your normal materials and Adept Nightfall ciphers. Now these, I would not personally pick these up. I believe that Grandmasters have gotten to a point where they are doable even for the casual or low tier player. There are a lot of builds, especially currently with the Titan Stronghold build. Pull a Stronghold from collection, pull any sword, and just level it up, and sit there, and just go run a Grandmaster. Be the Sword Titan, and everybody will love you. And it's free. You just like hold guard the entire Grandmaster and let your teammates do all the damage. It's so free, especially right now. But even without that kind of a cheesy build, I don't think almost 100 strange coins is worth 2 ciphers, personally. That being said, if you just cannot run Grandmasters, or you refuse to run Grandmasters but you always have strange coins, go nuts. For our armor and weapons, the Hawk Moon this week has Quick Draw, which is nice, Heavy Grip, which is stability and handling. Small Bore, it's not terrible, but it's really low handling for Hawk Moon. 60 is still good handling, but Hawk Moon is so easy to get like crazy amounts of handling. It is very stable, which is good for flinch resist, but outside of that, I probably would pass on this one personally. For the non-Hawk Moon weapon, we have Crimson. Phenomenal weapon. Kind of comes and goes. It's always one of those sleeper weapons that kind of creeps up. Kind of pops up out of nowhere a lot of times. There's a few of those. Leviathan's Breath will do that. What is it? Vex Mythoclast will kind of creep up and pop up out of nowhere sometimes. You know, things like that. It's one of those guns that kind of sits in your vault and doesn't really do much. But then all of a sudden one day it's the new hot thing and everybody uses it again. So definitely pick it up if you don't have it. Tractor Cannon, phenomenal gun, super great for support and utility. Just fantastic gun. If you don't have one, grab it. Wardcliff, again, certain bosses in the game, certain encounters in the game, it is best in slot. Definitely pick it up if you do not have it. For our legendary weapons, we have Legal Action 2. I honestly might grab this. This is a genuinely decent roll of this gun. It's not, actually I'm not sure what the best in slot roll would be. Hang on, let me look at dim for a moment. Left column for PvP, I could see heating up. Could maybe see feeding frenzy, killing wind, but I think moving target would be my pick out of all of these. And then for a damage increase in right column, there's Adrenaline Junkie, Frenzy, and Rampage. For PvP, I think this might be one of the better rolls. You obviously could get a better Masterwork, and you obviously could get a better mag, but again, a lot of PvP players like the boosted AE in PvP, and this is not a bad mag, even though it's not ricochet or accurized or anything like that. And full bore is actually pretty bang up on this. I think I might honestly pick this up. I've always wanted a decent legal action, and I've never had one. Kept Confidence, Shot Swap, and Gut Shot. I would pass on this one personally. That being said, it is a 140, which are decent. It's strand, so it goes in your top slot. It's just a good looking weapon, and it's craftable. So if you don't have it crafted, go ahead and grab you a couple of those. Preshora Malo. Again, these weapons, they all looked really cool, but none of them had any crazy perks going on, even for back then. I always remember being disappointed with their rolls. Outlaw Demo, you can make this work. I guess it's one of the better PvE rolls. It can get 4th times in the first slot, which I would probably go for, and it could also get Dragonfly in the right slot. Dragonfly, Frenzy, Harmony, Multi-Kill Clip, Thresh, all of the right columns are actually pretty good for PvE. But I think for most people, Demo is probably going to be something that they would go for. I'm not sure if it's picking it up, but my cat is behind me, screaming in my ear. It is nearly her dinner time, and she's panicking. So if that comes through on the mic, you'll have to forgive me. Up next, we have Bry's Love. This is actually a really decent scout rifle. I really enjoy this thing. I haven't played with it as much as I should have, but I really do like it. Perpetual and Pugilist is not a role that I would personally go for. But once again, it is craftable. This was Season of the, what was it? Season of the Witch, I believe. All of these weapons were really good. Most of these weapons are really good. There was one or two that could have been better, but both Bria's and Kept Confidence are great weapons. Temptation's Hook, Surrounded is great, Energy Transfer, not so much, no Swordmaster Guard, and no Jagged Edge. I would pass on this, and you can currently farm for this in the current episode's content, so I would personally pass on that one. Just in case, I actually like this sword a lot, and Flash Counter is great. There is no Swordmaster, but if you are using Flash Counter for the sake of the Titan Stronghold cheese, that's going to do a good job for you. Now here, oh, we don't have Jagged on this one either. That's so sad. But we do have Honed Edge and Tempered Edge. We do have Swordmaster. Tireless is not bad. And Flash Counter. Yeah, this is actually a decent roll with the Flash Counter buff and the fact that you can now use all of the class swords on individual characters, regardless of their class. S tier 10 out of 10 change. I would definitely get that if you are rocking the Strongholds and don't have another Flash Counter sword currently. For the armor this week, we have the NPA Werewalker set. Really rough. I'm not even going. You got a helmet with 20 intellect and 16 mobility. That's about it. Normally, I'm the kind of person, you guys know me, you know that I don't care if a roll is low if the spikes are good, but I've been hearing some chatter that maybe Xur is bugged again. Although this is the first week that I've seen it happen, I think people are probably panicking. But it seems like all of the armor this week across all three classes is kind of really bad. I will say, if you can fit this Hunter helmet into your build and it gives you the bumps that you need in mobility and intellect to give you triple hundreds or double hundreds, double 70s or anything like that, go for it even though it's low base. That being said, it is just a nice looking set, I think. So if you don't have the set, pick it up for a transmog. But this week, I don't believe anything that we have in terms of armor is really too great. Now up next, let's go over to our Titan and our Warlock and see what Xur has on the other characters in terms of the armor. Once again, I believe that either Xur is bugged or this is just a rough week for our armor. On our Warlock, nope, excuse me, on our Titan, we've got 46 legs with 10 recov and 12 discipline. And we've got, ooh, interesting.
So much light here.
Is that correct? No, it's not. Okay, let me refresh and try that again. We got 53 legs with recov and strength. We've got 55 helmet with 20 recov and 13 strength. Once again, the helmet might be salvageable. We've got a 54 chest plate with high mobility and high discipline, like really high for as low of a roll that is, but you probably don't want mobility on your Titan. And then we have 23 discipline on the Titan arms with a base stat of 52. Again, for some reason, Xur's armor inventory this week is just real rough. All right, let me refresh again, make sure these are showing the correct stats here. We got 53 on the legs for the Warlock with 12 discipline and 12 intellect. 53 on a helmet with 24 recov, 13 intellect, 10 strength. Unironically, the helmet might be decent with the spikes for a 100 recov intellect strength build. That for a melee build, that might go hard. 50 base chest piece with 10, 11, 12, and 13 in resilience, discipline, recov, and strength. Interesting that those spikes kind of line up like that. It's a very low base, but the spikes are actually kind of usable in my opinion. You might call me crazy. I've been told before that my takes on armor are not good. As always, I will say it's your account. Play on it how you want. If I can get use out of a piece of armor that is objectively bad, but it makes my overall build good, I'm going to use it. If you don't want to have a good build for the sake of not using a bad single piece of armor, then don't do that. It's a game. Have fun. Enjoy it. but I'm just giving you my 2 cents. Lastly, on the gloves for the Warlock, we have 14 recov and 11 strength with a base stat of 50. Yeah, that armor for the week is kind of rough. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week at Xur with your Destiny Dad. Thank you all, as always, for coming and watching. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the likes and the follows and all of your kind words that you all seem to leave almost all the time. With all of that being said, though, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can see my other videos. I have had some plans to do a couple other videos. Whether they become permanent or not, I'm not sure. Currently, my schedule is kind of all over the place, which is why I haven't made the videos. And I don't want to jump into a, hey, I'm making X video every day at X time, and then not be able to fulfill that promise. So we'll see, but I do have some others coming, and at the very least, every Tuesday and every Friday, you get some time with me. And then if anything big happens, like the Trials bug where there's double loot or anything like that, I will pop in and make a short or make a little video talking about it. With all that being said, I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you all get out there and enjoy Trials if you are playing it, enjoy the Grandmaster if you are running it, and keep farming those Guardian Games medals. Titans are currently in the lead by a decent chunk, but Hunters are hot on their heels, and I say that we can beat them again. Last year was the very first time the Hunters ever won, and Titans have had 3 times, I believe, that they've won. I think we've had 3 Titans, 1 Warlock, and 1 Hunter. So Hunters, don't let the Titans get another go. Let's lock in. Let's get those diamonds going. Let's get those platinums ran, and let's see if we can't turn this back around for Hunters, huh? As always, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you again on Tuesday. Have a good weekend, Guardians.